real quick. I want to talk about business. I called it Business Live. I want to talk about a little bit about business. Just wait for a couple people to jump on. May get some, may not. Just going to give it a couple minutes. I want to talk about business. Talk about business. Talk about business. Won't be on here long. Let's talk about business. Let's talk about some kingdom stuff. Business, kingdom, right? Let's talk about kingdom business. Let's talk about the kingdom. Let's talk about business. Let's talk about entrepreneurship. Let's talk about all that good stuff. Let's have a brief conversation. I'm stirred up a little bit in a good way. Stirred up in a good way. I want to talk about some business, kingdom business. Give it a couple minutes. I usually don't wait for people to jump on, but I guess I got the time. I can wait a little bit for some people to jump on. Talk about business, kingdom business. Right. And why I'm stirred up in a good way. Stirred up in a good way. I know I don't go on these random lives enough like I used to, but I'm stirred up to do this. Give it about a few more seconds. I'm just going to talk. I may have to reiterate some things because people are jumping on, interacting, but I'm going to talk. Yep, I'm going to talk. All right, well, here's the purpose of why I'm doing this. One, I am a teacher that teaches business entrepreneurship at a career tech school. I help people outside of what I teach. My passion is to prepare the next generation that they don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. I'm trying to educate them with financial literacy. I'm trying to educate them in business. And even if my students and the people I work with and connect to, even if they don't start a business, I want to get you prepared for life. I want to get you prepared for life. And so I want to talk about kingdom business because one reason is even though I have a smaller congregation that I pastor as an apostle, most of them, and not all of them, are entrepreneurs. They're entrepreneurs. They either have a job in the business, or their business is their job, whatever the case may be. Okay? And so I want to encourage just people in general, but then entrepreneurs. One of the things that I always share, when kids come through from different schools and do tours and people ask me, and the two things I always talk about is how to make money work for you and how to make money to multiply. Two things about money. Money is designed to work for you. I know my generation and older and maybe a little bit younger, we were always taught to go work for money. That's just what we were taught. But the money we work for, we never made it work for us. Okay? And so the reason why I said that we never made it work for us is the fact that we worked for the money and then we were just taught to save the money. Everything was just working and then saving. It was never about working and investing. It was always working and saving. And so when you understand that money is designed to multiply, money is designed to work for you, even if you are working a job, or even if your business is your job, we have to learn how to make money work for you. Okay? It's good that you can pay your bills. Okay? It's good that you're able to save a little bit of money. Great. But until you start making that money work for you, you're going to experience those seasons of those low seasons, those slow seasons. And if you're just counting on money that you have saved up, listen, you're going to be hit. So one of the things I try to educate my students, because me as an educator in a career tech school, I'm trying to prepare the next generation. All right. Every time a 11th grader comes into my room, every time a 12th grader comes back to my class, I am trying to prepare another generation not to live paycheck to paycheck. Even if they don't want to start a business, I'm still trying to pour into them that there is a better way to live. There's a better way than just going to work, those jobs of working 30 years and then retire, or 20 years and retire. It's not a lot of them, unless you get an education, unless you are a firefighter, you're a police officer, you're working in a hospital, those type of jobs. I get them. If you're in that type of field, then you're straight, but to work those jobs and you're not interested in those particular type of jobs, to work jobs 30 years is not even common anymore. Just not. And so the reason I'm doing this is because a lot of us is working hard. Okay. Somebody asked me, the other week, I told them there's no such thing of middle class and it's either upper class or poverty or lower class. And so if you don't make a certain amount of money, you're considered poverty. You're considered lower class. The middle class is what they're trying to take out. Okay. Because really they got upper middle class and then you got lower middle class. And then you got those in the middle. And so really they're trying to separate that. And so why am I talking like this? Is because as entrepreneurs, as people that work jobs, we have, even the Bible talks about it. It's in Ecclesiastes, I think it's 11:1, and I might have it wrong, but it talks about you should invest in seven. You should invest in 7 adventures, even 8, because you never know when disaster is going to come. So even if you're not going to start a business and you're just working, you have to put your money to work. I hear all the time, even the students that I hear them all the time. Oh, Mr. JB, I got this amount of money saved up. Oh, Mr. JB, I got this amount of money saved up. Great that you got that money saved up. But until that money is put in something that can make that money multiply. I see kids all the time, and then people that think they're big time because you're flashing your money. Real money's in stocks and annuities. Real money is when you invest it. Now, real money is not in your pocket. And some of these kids in this generation, they flashing their $100 bills, they flash. That's not real money, because that's all you got to your name. But until you put that money somewhere where it can work for you, until you put that money somewhere where it can actually multiply, okay? That's what has to happen. Even in business, it's so important. And I'm tying financial literacy into here. I'm tying entrepreneurship, those who have their own business. You have to understand that in this business world, once you find your niche, once you find, if you're a hairstylist, if you're a barber, great. That's going to be your main source of income. Whatever that business may be, t-shirts, whatever you do. Yes, that's how your business started. That's your main source of income. But guess what? As an entrepreneur, you got to make some pivot moves. In other words, I have to find, even though this is my initial business, what other things can I venture in? This is some of the things I try to get my students to understand. They say, I want to start a business in this, and whatever this is. But I say, okay, that's good, because you fine-tune something you want to lock in and do. But eventually, once that cash flow starts going, then now we need to make some pivot moves where we can generate more funds. We can generate more cash flow. Okay? Cash flow is crucial. Cash flow is crucial. Okay? When you learn how to multiply money, how to make that money work for you. Making pivot moves and cash flow is important. I'm trying to prepare another generation of not living paycheck to paycheck. You don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. The reason why we do, because we haven't figured out what to do with our money. We are spending money and don't even know where we're spending it at. We don't. And so now I got to figure out, where's my money going? Where have I been spending it? Where do I need to stop spending it and put this money somewhere else? Okay. And so some of the things I've done with my seniors, just to give you an example, and this is a safe way to invest, safe way, is I got them into savings accounts with a higher APY, not an APR, okay? APY. For those who just love saving, great. My grandmother was a great saver. My mother was a great saver. Great. But they never taught me about making my money work for me. They never taught that. My family is a hard-working family, so I have their work ethic. Both sides of my family, my mom's side of the family, dad's side, they're very hardworking. They have nice things because they work for it, but they never taught me how to make money work for me. And so now we have to create a cash flow. All right? This increase that you may be coming with is not just to save. Whatever increase you get, you need to invest it. And so what I'm trying to get my seniors to do is to, one thing, as a safe way to invest. I know stocks are a more aggressive way to invest. And I'm all for stocks. I've invested in gold. I've invested in foreign markets and all that kind of thing, stock market. I get it. Okay, I just don't have the time to really focus on it. So that's why you have financial advisors and people that can do that. But a safe way to invest is start getting into savings accounts with a higher APY, whether it's 3.0 or 5.0 or whatever it is. Whenever you're starting to get increase, whenever you get your finances organized, it's time for you to start putting this money where it can begin to grow by itself. Okay? Making money work for you is making money while you're asleep. And and I understand it, and I'm teaching it, and I'm doing this because a lot of us that are in business, you're making good money, okay? But that money ain't working for you. You're just making that good money, you're saving it, and you're thinking about whatever you're thinking about. But while you're thinking, your money could be growing. While you're thinking it, your money could be multiplying. And so I want to encourage you. Capital One has one. I have several of my students hooked up with Capital One that have a higher APY account. Okay. There's other accounts that have a higher APY account where you can put this money in that account and that money will begin to grow. The more money you put in, the more it will begin to grow. Why am I talking about this? Because as believers, the world pretty much got it for the most part. Not everybody in the world, but those who are in business that are in the world, they get it. They got it. It's the body of Christ, not all of us, but some of us that don't got it. And we have to learn how to make this money work for us. If you're in business, understand that, yes, yeah, you can. That's why it's called APY. It's a higher yielding account. So most savings accounts, and I'm glad you asked this, prophetess, most savings accounts are 1% or less. So when you get into a higher yield APY account of 3.3 or 3.5 or 4%, 5%, those are higher yielding bank accounts. And so you can put money in that account, and the more money you put in that account, the more your money will grow. Okay? So not only do I teach kingdom, I don't do church. Capital One. I even see that Chime has I think an account that has a high APY. I'm more comfortable with Capital One because I have business accounts through Capital One, things like that. So I'm familiar more with Capital One. There are other accounts, savings accounts that have a higher APY. So you could do some research, but Capital One, I've seen Chime, I've seen a couple others where you have to put that money in there and sit to see it grow. Okay? And the more you put in it, the more it's going to grow. Okay? But I'm trying to encourage those who are entrepreneurs that are trying to come off your job and you're trying to start this business, or you're doing both until your business really takes off. And this extra money that you are accumulating, this extra money that is coming in, you're going to have to make that money work for you. You should have different streams of income. Okay. As an entrepreneur, somebody that has started a business, you should have an IRA. Okay. You should have a 403B. You should have something where your money is growing. You are investing in yourself, is what we're talking about. You should have these accounts, and you should have multiple streams of income that you can pull if you need it, but you can have multiple streams growing for you. Okay? As an entrepreneur, you shouldn't have to struggle if you understand how to make your money work. Because you're going to have some lean seasons as entrepreneurs. It's just business is going to be slow. And you have to prepare for those slow seasons. You have to. All right? Because bills still have to be paid. Things like that, it still has to be done. So one of the things I try to do, because I am an entrepreneur, I do things to generate income outside of Stand in the Gap Ministries. Outside of just preaching and teaching, I do training. I train athletes. I do mentorship. I do all these different things that brings in streams. I coach. I do things that brings in other streams of income. All right. So my main streams of income may be my job, but I made some pivot moves. I made some adjustments. As an entrepreneur, you can never be afraid to make pivot moves that's not only going to enhance the business that you started, but this next adventure, this next thing that you're starting, and you're making a pivot move to generate more funds, to generate more cash flow, to broaden your business. Okay? I always encourage entrepreneurs to do this. I have a young lady that I've taught. I want to say she started her business as a freshman, and I could be wrong. She's in my business class, and actually she just won an award for a scholarship for college. But she started her own bouquet business. She came to my class with a bouquet business that was it was making pretty good money, because she was doing Valentine's Day and for weddings and for different things, and she was showing me her work. And I said, well, our next step is we need to help you market better. And marketing is crucial when it comes to ministry and when it comes to entrepreneurship. It's very crucial on how you market. All right? And you're not trying to market for people you know. No. You have to know your demographic of people. If it's in ministry or if it's in business, you have to know your demographic of people you're really trying to reach. Yeah, we have to reach the whole nation and preach the gospel. I'm all for that. But you have to understand the demographic of people that God has called you to. And that's why marketing is so key. All right. But I'm saying this because I told her, I said, well, our next step for her was to make a website. All right. She was already by word of mouth, which is the best marketing even today. Most people don't understand that. Best marketing today is still word of mouth. Your business can grow fast just by word of mouth. It's not even through social media. Some people may see your stuff through social media, but a word of mouth will get your business growing so much faster. And it still works today. Even as we have technology today to expand, word of mouth is still better in a lot of cases. But I told her, I said, we got to build a website. Taught her how to build a website. That pivot move for her business exploded. Why? Why did it explode? Because now she was already marketable because of what she was doing. But now that she built a website and she began to share the website, it made her business blow up, because now what she does is more accessible. And she's putting her content on her website. And now if you want a certain bouquet or flower or whatever the case may be, now you go to her website and you can book whatever you need. And her business blew up. As entrepreneurs, it's good that you found what is working for you. But after you have created that cash flow, after you created that stream of income, now I have to use some of that income to invest, and I need to use some of that income to make a pivot move to create another cash flow. Okay? One of the things that hurts the believer is that we teach is so much church, but we never teach the body of Christ kingdom. We teach church, but we never teach them kingdom. We never teach them kingdom. We teach you how to serve. We teach you how to pray. We teach you how to do all these things that are important as far as our kingdom assignment. But when it comes to kingdom and operating in kingdom in the life that you live, a life of integrity, a life of operating and living in power and so on and so forth. But there's a more practical way too that the body of Christ don't teach. And this is things that we need to talk about. And I'm not teaching this because I want you to give more. I'm teaching this so you can live. That's why I teach it. Even though I have a smaller congregation, most of them out of that they're entrepreneurs or they're entrepreneur minded. They're looking to venture out. They're looking to start. All right. They're looking to go forth. They want to start that business. And understand that every good idea is not a business idea. Just because you come up with an idea, it's not a business idea. Okay. And I'm saying this because even when you make your pivot moves in business, and you're looking to create another cash flow, you have to ask yourself, okay, you have to ask yourself, am I solving another problem or am I filling a void? If you're not solving a problem or filling a void, then it may not be a good business opportunity. All right. And so I'm talking business live, kingdom business, or whatever the case is, because I'm trying to really encourage the entrepreneur that even if you haven't started a business and you have an income coming in, begin to look through your finances again and see where this money is going and begin to make that money work for you, even if it's a small amount. See, the problem is we think because the amount is small that it really won't grow. Sometimes it just takes you to start it. All right? And just let that money grow and build. There's other ways to aggressively build your money. And of course, that's getting in the stocks. And you really have to study the market and know when to invest into the market and what you are investing to. So you have to really educate yourself on those. And there are people that that's their expertise. Okay, that's not my expertise. I don't have time to actually look at a stock market and look at the stock and study it and see the last time it went down and the next time it went up and all that. I just don't have time. But I know people that do this for a living. Okay. But what I'm talking about as born again believers, we have to figure out how to make money work for us. All right. How can we leave an inheritance to our children's children and then we are not making the money that God has blessed us with, that we work so hard for, we have not made it work for us. It's not multiplying. Money does not multiply in your hand. You have to invest it. You have to invest it. You have to put it in something where it's going to work. Money is waiting to work for you. Money is waiting to multiply. But you got to figure out what you're going to do with your money. You have to figure that out as an entrepreneur. And don't be afraid to make pivot moves is going to help with the longevity of your business idea or your business that you've started. You have to make pivot moves. One of the questions that I asked some kids coming through touring my class, and we were talking about scarcity. And we were talking about pivot moves. And I said, when is the last time we really experienced scarcity? And they said, COVID. I said, you're right. I said, what happened in COVID? Well, there wasn't a lot of stuff on the shelves, they said. I said, you're right. So what happened to the prices? Everything went up, right? They said, yeah, that's called inflation. So then I said, well, the reason why, what happened to some businesses during COVID? And they said they shut down. I said, you're right. I said, what pivot moves did some of the major restaurant businesses, the better chain restaurant, what did they do? In other words, they started deliveries. Some of the smaller businesses that may have been established longer than them have not made the pivot moves for longevity. And so when COVID hit, they didn't prepare themselves to make a pivot move to keep business flowing. They had to close down. That's why pivot moves are so vital. That's why they're so important when concerning business, concerning money. Because you have to know the times that you're in, and you have to make pivot moves or adjustments as necessary. Yes, you got money coming in this way, but this other adventure that you're thinking about, and maybe you got some feedback on, don't be afraid to make that pivot move to generate more cash flow. And if you can have other streams of cash flow because of pivot moves and different things you have done just through one business, and now you're doing this and you're doing that, and you may be doing one other thing, that's good business. Because one source may dry up for a season, but your other sources of cash flow, because you made pivot moves, will keep you going. So as entrepreneurs, and I'm coming to a close. I think I've talked longer than I was supposed to, but it's okay. I'm just trying to help you to fine tune some things. Okay? And stop working so hard. One of the things I learned from my dad, he says work smarter, not harder. And a lot of people are working harder and they think harder is smarter, but no. Working harder in a lot of cases is only wear and tear on your body. It's only breaking your body down. But to work smarter is saying there's a better way to work and make money and not tax my body that I need to do the stuff that I need to do. All right? And I know I do talk about these things, whether it's at Bible study or sometimes during Sunday service. I do talk about these things, but my younger brother, my spiritual brother, Prophet William Dallas was talking, and it's these type of settings that for myself, because I'm not afraid to talk about it, that we need more for the body of Christ. We need more for believers that are entrepreneurs, that are doing business. And maybe marketing is not your issue. Maybe is, trying to fund your next part of your business or whatever the case is, whatever you're trying to build, whatever that may be. But trying to really educate entrepreneurs, even getting, business credit and getting lines of credit and things like that, that you can take that line of credit and not just borrow from yourself, but you can take that line of credit and make that money work for you. There's so many different things that you can do. Trying to educate people to that you don't have to borrow from a bank, you can borrow from yourself. I know that sounds crazy. That you can create some credit, you can create some things for yourself that you can borrow from yourself instead of always trying to get an approval from a bank. And so I'm talking about these things because we have our minds fixed on just doing things a certain kind of way. And we think that that's the only way to do things. And so I'm trying to help you to get out of this frame of thinking that I just have to do it this way. And there's better ways to do things and better ways to, get yourself established. So I'm up to 29 minutes, but I just wanted to share a little bit of that. I want to do more more business lives or business conversations. Not that I know everything, but I know enough to pour in. I know enough to help the next generation not live paycheck to paycheck, not live beneath who you are, not live beneath not just your potential, but sometimes we can just live beneath because we just don't know. All right. And so I'm just sharing these things out of love, just sharing these things. And I pray that what I've shared has helped you. Be encouraged. Feel free to share this video if it has encouraged you. Enjoy your evening. Be blessed and take care.